Man, so we're revisiting this topic, and it's one that I really didn't think we would ever talk about again, but if you still want to go and look at the extended video content we have made in the past about this topic, then hey, those are all available on the channel for your viewing pleasure. If you don't know what we're talking about though, then settle down, because this story, it's a pretty interesting story. So, we're going back over to the 2020-2021 season, so pretty much just the 2021 season because there were no games played in 2020, where the New York Rangers got rid of Tony DeAngelo. He's a young-ish defenseman drafted in 2014 that had bounced around from Tampa Bay to Arizona over to the New York Rangers, and in 2019-20, the previous season, had 53 points in 68 games as a right-handed defenseman. Very skilled, very offensively potent, very productive, very good. However, as we noted, they did get rid of this guy after his 53-point year, 6 games into the next season. This was coming off the coattails of them signing him to an extension, which they then pretty much rescinded by sending him on waivers in January and having him actually clear. Now, without context, that might sound really strange. Okay, this guy had 50 points in 60 games, he's a defenseman, a right-handed one at that, offensively gifted, and then he got sent down on waivers the next year, and nobody claimed this guy, not even for free? What in the world happened? Well, the story was documented pretty extensively last year, but we finally got some details as to everything that went down. There was a controversy that went on with Tony DeAngelo and his backup goaltender Alexandar Georgiev of the New York Rangers. Here's an article on BlueShirtBanter.com from last year, so February 2nd, 2021, going over everything right here. New York Rangers defenseman Tony DeAngelo got into an altercation with goaltender Alexandar Georgiev following Saturday's overtime loss to Pittsburgh, The Athletic's Rick Carpiniello reports. The report comes following the Rangers' placing of DeAngelo on waivers Sunday afternoon. Not that Carpiniello needs to be validated, but Blue Shirt Banter had been independently informed of the incident by multiple sources. The incident, which specifically triggered the altercation last night, was possibly a miscommunication that led to Sidney Crosby's overtime goal in the game. However, based on information Blue Shirt Banter has gathered on the background for multiple years now, the two were apparently never on the best of terms as far back as the 2017-18 season when the two were teammates in Hartford. Now, this article specifically goes over a few other things. There was a controversy of DeAngelo taking the puck away from K'Andre Miller's first NHL goal, and that was a pretty big deal that I don't think should have been a big deal, but either way, it is mentioned here in the article. But aside from that, the reason we're making this video today is because Tony DeAngelo, now a member of the Carolina Hurricanes after signing a one-year, $1 million contract with them after the Rangers terminated DeAngelo's contract in the summer of last year. So after getting bought out, he signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Carolina Hurricanes have been, if you haven't been paying attention to the league, a pretty good team this year. However, recently, the Carolina Hurricanes played a game in New York. The very first game of Tony DeAngelo making his return to Madison Square Garden, MSG, the place where he scored 50-something points in 60 games 2 seasons ago. And there was a pretty interesting conversation as to what would happen when he stepped out onto the ice. We had reports in the media saying that DeAngelo did not care, or that he could care less if the Rangers fans went out there and booed him, and I say could care less because apparently that's what he said, and if anybody knows English properly, yeah, no, it's not could care less, then that means that you do care, because if you could care a lesser amount than the amount that you already care, that means there is some level of care already. If you say you could not care less, then that means your level of care is already so low to the point that it cannot go lower. So it's couldn't care less, not could, like DeAngelo said. Either way, the Rangers fans went out there and booed this guy to heck every time he touched the puck. It was a pretty notable thing. Even though the Rangers went out there and lost this game, it was still a pretty notable one because you had yourselves all the returning Rangers of the past. Jesper Fast, of course, there's DeAngelo there too. There are a few other names as well. But then you also had Chris Kreider scoring his 50th goal in the season with a few minutes left to go in the third period. So good on him for getting 50. I can't believe Chris Kreider has 50. But either way, he's got it. Coming into this game, though, we had ourselves the new article published by Arthur Staple on The Athletic. Tony DeAngelo returns to the Garden, what reception the ex-Ranger expects, why the Hurricanes are fit for him and his services, and more. This was published a few days ago, actually, so April 12th. And in this piece, we have what exactly it was that happened between DeAngelo and Georgiev that caused this entire fallout in the first place. Or no, I shouldn't say it caused the fallout. We all kind of knew there were some conversations you could have about DeAngelo and the personality he had. There was an entire incident about him calling a teammate a racial slur when he was back in junior hockey, and it was situations like that, plus the attitude issues, quote-unquote, that people in the media were portraying that put him in this light. But either way, this is what Staples' article from a few days ago reads. He's referring to the game a year ago where the Pittsburgh Penguins scored in overtime and defeated the Rangers, wherein DeAngelo and Georgiev had their little scrum. As they were coming off the ice, DeAngelo cracked to Georgiev, "Make an effing save." Georgiev took a swing at DeAngelo. The two Rangers were separated, and DeAngelo, already on team probation for an incident a few weeks prior, was banished. Two people present for the comment and the fight confirmed the details, so I'm assuming Staple is referring to either two teammates on the Rangers or two staff members, just two people that were there and they saw it happen. This was also posted onto the Our Hockey subreddit, which is why we're doing this video and talking about it, because even though The Athletic is paid for material, this little snippet was posted online, so I think it's okay to kind of go out there and make a video about this thing. But there you have it. Apparently that's what it was verbatim. We never really got the specific details as to what was said or who struck first or whatever, but when it comes to this, I guess you could go out there and say that the first one to use violence was Georgiev, which led to the entire thing, but you gotta remember there's a bit of context here too, right? If these two guys were already not on the best of terms for a few years, you had to have thought that the potential of something like this happening was not zero, right? Especially with the fact that Tony DeAngelo calling out the goaltender like that after the guy gives up a goal in overtime. Like, I get it, you might be frustrated, but is that not one of the unspoken rules of hockey? You don't call out the goaltender, especially to his face, by saying something like, "Hey, make an effing save, bro. We lost in overtime. Make a save. Why don't you make a save?" There's the whole Kevin Bieksa joking around about, like, Ryan Miller and stuff on TV, saying, "Oh, make a save, Millsy," but, like, you don't say that to your goaltender in real time after the game. Georgiev probably was in the wrong here for swinging first, but still, I can understand why he went out there and did that. And the thing is, if DeAngelo was somebody that you could give the benefit of the doubt to, the Rangers would not have placed him on waivers and bought him out later in that season. They wouldn't have had the need to do that if this was just an isolated thing. But there were already so many other issues, so many controversies bringing themselves up into the media, and a ton of discussions that people like me and other YouTubers were having on the airwaves, on the radio, on TV, that this, even though Georgiev probably was in the wrong for swinging first, was just the ultimate tipping point that forced the Rangers' hand at saying, okay, even though you had 50 points in 60 games, even though you were really good with us, our team is better without you. So, sayonara. Now, fortunately for DeAngelo, he did get himself a job with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's got 47 points in 56 games right now, and he's only making $1 million till the end of this season, so very nice contract for him for the amount of production the Hurricanes are getting out of this guy. But still, there was that stain on his career during his time in New York, and we finally have the extended details as to everything that happened via an article on The Athletic. So I will leave a link in the description to the piece, what reception the ex-Ranger expects, why the Hurricanes are a fit, and more, Tony DeAngelo's return to the Garden. So if you want to go ahead and read the full transcript of everything that Staple writes about, then go ahead and do that if you have the Athletic subscription. But aside from that, let me know in the comments, what do you think about this altercation over here? Are you surprised that things went down the way that they did? DeAngelo making a comment, Georgiev swinging first, the two guys getting into a fight, DeAngelo getting placed on waivers, him going unclaimed. All 30 NHL teams, all 30 other NHL teams, I should say, went out there and said, sorry, we can't go out there and get this guy. He might be good at producing, but there's so much baggage here that we don't want to go out there and add this to our organization, only for him to get bought out in the summer, for Carolina to sign him to a $1 million one-year deal, and for him to be as successful as he is right now, especially in his return to the Rangers' Garden, where the fans were booing him like crazy. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire situation. I hope you enjoyed this video, Trolls 99, and bye.